this meeting currently? And if there's no one eager to jump up, then we'll close public comment and move on to our update from the Dr. Joyce M. Cusack Resource Center by the soon-to-be...
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Okay, so we just finished our April Art Series. The April Art Series was a 4-part weekly series which provided space for residents to be creative and express themselves. So in that we had crocheting, drawing, beadwork, and painting. So residents gained stress management skills and low-cost ways to implement the art activities at home. So we were honored this year to have Friends of the Hand Art Center join us to sponsor the 2 workshops led by artist David Fithian and gallery assistant Sierra Ross. So they did the painting and the drawing. So in sum, the workshops fostered an appreciation of the arts in a community that typically wouldn't focus on that sector. Next we have a flyer before you, our 14th annual Mayor's Backpack Giveaway and Community Health Initiative. And I mean, it is what it is. You see our partners' logos there. If you know someone who would like to be a vendor, who would like to distribute or donate school supplies, you can be in touch with me. That concludes my update.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Dixon? So for the rest of the board, what I was alluding to is this coming Saturday at Stetson University's graduation. Is it Saturday or Friday night that you're?
Saturday.
You'll be at the Saturday ceremony.
Yes.
Stetson is conferring an honorary doctorate, and she'll become Dr. Dixon for the good work that she has done in this community. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for your report. All right, that brings us to unfinished business. And item number 1 is a discussion regarding the approval of reserve allocation spending plan for infrastructure projects.
Well, all right, well, thank you. This is an unfinished item because we do have some unfinished business to discuss. So back in November, we discussed our unfunded allocation reserves and where they would go to. And you can see in the RCA that's attached that we've had areas that we already assigned some of these funds. And to quickly go over them, increasing the exterior grant program, implementing 2 new grants, increasing funding to the Turn Festival, potentially purchasing property that comes available, an enhancement project for 910 South Adele, which is the old Resource Center lot, installation of a decorative fence at the Resource Center, implementing trash amnesty days, enhancing the mayor's backpack giveaway, and then also enhancing the property of the quarter program. So those are the things that you all, part of the things that you all approved in November, and that was the cost, and that was all outlined prior. But I just wanted to show you all what we, agreed upon prior, and then there was the other piece, which is what we need to talk about tonight, because now staff was able to get more accurate estimate data, which was the infrastructure projects. So on the, I guess it's the next page of your RCA, it talks about potential infrastructure projects. And tonight I'd like to see what the board's take is on what you all would potentially like to do in terms of the projects. And I will try to scroll on the screen for the people here. One too far. There we go. So the infrastructure projects are below. So we have the Candlelight Oaks basketball court redo. We have the Candlelight Oaks other improvements for capital. So that's ADA, fence replacement, sidewalk repair, signs, the wall refurbishment, there's extra lighting and road resurfacing. There's also the Adele Avenue streetscape, so right there at the center of town in the core area, we have that like stamped colored concrete or asphalt. We wanted to redo that. We wanted to redo the sign that's also in that area, update the landscaping, fix any of the lighting issues that may be with that prior streetscape project. And then we also wanted to do some sidewalk and installation and improvements around the CRA that we were able to identify with city staff. We were able to talk with the county about doing some additional road paving crosswalk striping, ADA upgrades, and then another option is also to look at doing another streetscape on Clara, which is another one of the main intersections through the CRA. So what I tried to do for everybody was break it down in costs here. You kind of can see what each of the options would cost. And to let you all know, we have about 1.3 million in reserves that we can spend on all of these projects. And if you went back to the other item, it was about $290,000, which were those other programs that we talked about in November. That's already something that we can have allocated towards. And this stuff that's out here today is going to cost either $700,000 if you just do everything minus the streetscape, or obviously if you add the streetscape in, it bumps that up to 3.1 million. So again, knowing what our reserve is and knowing what all these costs are, we gave two totals for you all to decide upon tonight to see if you can provide some direction to staff, and then maybe if there's something in there that you all would like to change or not fund too, we can do that. But if we were to fund everything on the infrastructure improvement list that I presented to you tonight, minus the Clara Avenue streetscape, it's going to total about, you see here, $990,000. So we would have enough funding, including the prior things in November, with this streets, with all of this infrastructure, to fund everything minus the one Clara Avenue streetscape. So I can talk about some of the items for you tonight. We can kind of go over each one in a little more detail if you would like. If not, I'm just trying to get some feedback from the board. This was a culmination of what the community had to input, what the board had to input back in November. We were able to get all the estimates finally, because it takes a while to get that information in sometimes. But we were able to get it all together. So these are pretty accurate costs of what they're going to show up if we were to choose and would like to do something.
All right, so do any members of the board want to hear any, dive down deep in any specifics of any of the listed items, or you just want to get into talking about your thoughts on all of this? Vice Mayor Pilot, do you want to start?
Sure. Me personally, I would like to move forward on everything but the Clara streetscape. That would leave us with about $350,000 or so still in there, which cost overruns or, whatever additional things you want to enhance these, that leaves us with a little meat on the bones for anything that may come up. But I think that hits a lot of areas: overall sidewalks, lightings, road pavings. Pay attention to candlelight oaks, some recreational, some functional, some for infrastructure. So I think it's a very nice broad band. Some community events from the stuff we're already doing. And we bought some property and get rid of trash, which was very popular as well. So, that gives us $990,000 that we're putting back into the community, so I'm comfortable with that investment. And it covers a very broad range of areas, not putting too much into any one pot, so everyone gets a benefit from it. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Councilmember Santiago.
I agree with the Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Other thoughts?
I also second third the Vice Mayor's opinion. I think that that's a great bang for your buck, to be honest. Getting all that stuff done, it touches a lot of things that people have been asking us about from the community, and it really it'll bring a lot of freshness to a lot of different things. And the excess, if we have all that excess when it's done, we could bank it for this Clara Street project down the road.
I concur.
Very good. I was going to say something similar to all of that. In today's dollars, especially construction dollars, there's a lot of projects that fit into that amount, which is good to see. And on the top of my list had been the intersection at Clara, just because it's a good sense of pride, a sense of arrival, and to be able to add safety aspects like sidewalks and additional lighting. There's a lot of pedestrian and bicycle use in the area, and so I think those are very important. I know there's a desire to look at a Clara streetscape, and I think that's something that definitely should stay on the master plan or the long range plan, if you will. As we kind of build this this fund back up, it's something to look at.
Sure, and just to add on to that, as Commissioner Reed talked about, if and we can bring this back to you at a later time to more formalize it, but in general, what I'm hearing is that extra about $300,000 to $350,000, we could put that as an allocation, I'll call it bookmark, towards the Clara Avenue streetscape, knowing that in full well we can come back and reallocate that if we needed it, but again, it's better to have something assigned to a certain or allocated to a certain project so we can reach that goal. But if we do need to change that allocation in the future, you all have the ability to do it, and we can bring that back at a later time. So I think that would be something to recommend, potentially you all to consider.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. It also puts money, showing that we have money to put in if we wanted to go, to the state or to, some sort of organization that may have funding available, for historic places, and we'd have money to put in as a match.
So
Do you need a formal motion?
I think if you give me a formal motion with a vote on approving as, we discussed, that'd be beautiful.
Sure, move approval to fund all items other than the Clara streetscape with the remaining balance left over going to a future placeholder of the Clara streetscape.
Second.
We have a motion by Paiva and a second by Reed. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That concludes unfinished business and brings us to new business. New business item number 1 is a consideration to an update to the exterior improvement grant program.
So as we just discussed, one of the items was to update the exterior improvement grant program. So with this, I'm bringing back to you that program with the update. In the most simplest terms, what we're trying to do here is encourage more folks to apply, and staff proposed the change to this grant, which was basically eliminating the 50% cost match from the CRA when your project exceeds $4,000. So if we remove that, we would just say now the applicant would get 75% of the cost for the total project, and then we have a cap of $5,000. We did not change the cap from prior. We're just giving them a little more money and a little more flexibility instead of having two different, I'll call it pools to kind of pull from. It makes it simpler for the applicant, it makes it simpler for staff. It puts a few dollars more back in the applicant's pocket if they do a program. And at this point, staff is actually not recommending to increase anything into the grant item because we don't know necessarily what the demand is going to be, but we do have that amount there already. And if it does run over, it's a good problem, I think, for us to have. We can come back at the budget time and ask you all to consider an increase in that total grant funding line item. So at this time, it's just slightly increasing the grant payout.
Councilmember Santiago.
I'm just gonna move to approve with staff recommendations.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Santiago and a second by Paiva. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now, Darren, do you want to take the next one on the boys and girls?
So our next item of business is regarding the Boys and Girls Club Community Development Block Grant Sub-Recipient Agreement.
Yeah, thank you, and you have with you Joe Sullivan from the Boys and Girls Club and staff from Volusia County to answer any questions about the Community Development Block Grant Program and this particular application. This has been a work in process for some time now to renovate the facility, rebuild actually one of the facilities at the Boys and Girls Club in Spring Hill. Basically, you may recall 6 months ago or so that you approved a contract to sell the property. We did an RFP to sell the property for really no money to the Boys and Girls Club, with a provision that it remain a Boys and Girls Club or some other public use or revert to the city and the county in the event that it ceased to be the Boys and Girls Club. Once we had that contract in place, it was determined, correct me if I'm wrong, that really by transferring ownership now while they're trying to process the community development block grant, it's actually already been, it's been in process, it's been approved, I think it's been finally approved. accurate? And so they'll be issuing the bids, probably this summer, bid awarded in the fall, and be ready to start construction. So it really would have to kind of go back to the drawing board if we were changing ownership and doing a special exception to get the date that a private party would need, even a private not-for-profit party, would need to have the public use on this property. We said, let's leave it in CRA ownership, administer the block grant, do the construction project, wrap it up, and then after that's all done, we can transfer it when the time is appropriate. So in order to effectuate that, with every, I don't say anything that's technically wrong, please just throw something at me. But in every community development block grant, there's obviously the county is the recipient of the federal funds, and then in this case, the CRA and I guess the Boys and Girls Club is the sub-recipient of those funds. But us as the property owner, we need to sign off as well. And so basically, we're just signing off that we acknowledge, we've authorized them to use the money to do what they're going to do on the property, and we're on board with it.
Any questions? It's exciting and ready to see that teen center come to fruition.
That's really nice. Move to approve the agreement here?
Nothing.
Second.
We have a motion by Santiago and a second by Iva. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move forward.
Thank you.
Right. That concludes our new business and brings us to board member comments or concerns. Have anything you'd like to share with the board?
Mayor, I was just saying, I wish our county council meeting was this month.
No comment. So, as the soon-to-be Dr. Dixon pointed out, you have a flyer in front of you for the mayor's backpack giveaway, and I do encourage all of you to join us that morning out in Old Brown Park. It's great to meet the families and see the actions of this board in person. All right. And next meeting will be when we need a meeting?
Yeah, basically when we need a meeting, I can say that in July, we will, as a city, we go through our budget workshops. So when I get the date that the Spring Hill CRA will be discussed, I'll share that with everybody. And then if you all want to come to that meeting, you're more than welcome to come and kind of participate in that discussion when we have it. But that's just the initial budgetary meeting where we kind of just present projections. It's not locking anything in. You all as a board still have that opportunity to review and approve the budget later on in the process. This is just kind of the early start of it. So I just wanted to offer that to you all, and we'll send out the date when we find it, when I know what it is in July. But that should probably be the next time that you all will probably able to meet until we get another grant paperwork together for these two other programs that I want to get all before you to get approved, hopefully.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there are no other comments, then this meeting is adjourned.
Michael?